Hey guys, welcome back. This is Science Bro, and today I'll be talking about chemistry, grade 9 chemistry on Intro to Matter. Today's video I will talk about what is matter, the particle theory, and the matter breakdown. At the end there's also going to be a test your knowledge section. So to begin with, what is matter? So matter is made of tiny particles called atoms, and it is anything that can take up space and can be weighed. There is 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. These atoms are made of 3 subatomic particles: protons, neutrons, and electrons. So solids, they have a very strong attraction force, they're orderly arranged, they're closely packed, and the only motion they can do is vibrating in place. Liquids are a bit weaker but pretty strong attractions. Their arrangement is pretty random but pretty close. They're closely packed but a little bit further apart, and they have 2 different types of motions. They can rotate and vibrate. Gases are much more different than solid and liquids. They're really weak attractions. They're in disorderly and random arrangements and really far apart. They move around freely, randomly, sometimes mostly in straight lines. And their motion is the same as a solid and liquid, but one more extra. So they vibrate, rotate, and they also slide in place. So what is the particle theory? You may have heard of the particle theory, which has 5 rules. All matter is made of tiny particles that have empty spaces between them. 2. Different substances are made up of different kinds of particles. 3. Particles are in constant random motion. 4. The particles of a substance move faster as its temperature increases. And 5. Particles attract each other. So first, all matter is made up of tiny particles that have empty spaces between them. So each state, solid, liquid, and gas, have different amount of space between them. So like solid, it only vibrates because there's little to no space between them. It's really small. As you can see, there's really small. So that's why they keep the same shape and volume. But for liquid, they have the same volume, but like the shape is different. That's why whenever you put water in a cup, it takes the shape of a cup, or you put them into a mug, shapes of a mug. It has some space, not too little, but enough space to have the particles move around. And finally, gas, they don't have the same shape or volume. That's why they're really far apart and they move randomly. So the next one is different substances are made of different kinds of particles. Here are different elements, compounds, so different items. So like hydrogen, for example, that's one thing. So that's why its chemical formula H2 has 2 of the same particles. Same thing with oxygen. That's the same substance, so it's 2 particles that are the same color. Same thing with phosphorus, sulfur, and any other thing. But if I say, for example, water, right? It's made of 2 different types of substances or particles, 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. That's why there's 2 white particles here, and then 1 red one. The red shows oxygen, and the 2 whites show hydrogen. So this shows how different substances are made up of different kinds of particles. Hydrogen have a different types of particle than oxygen does, and oxygen has a different particle than phosphorus, and so on. The third one is particles are in constant random motion. It doesn't matter exactly how much space, but all particles move, no matter how small or big the space is. They can vibrate, rotate, or slide. As in the picture, all particles go in straight lines. So this particle is moving this way, straight, but once it touches a wall or another particle, it'll bounce off in the opposite direction, still straight. So they do move in random motion, it just depends on what type of state. The fourth one, the particle of a substance moves faster as faster as its temperature increases. So when particles are heated, they gain energy and move faster. So this is different in term. That's how each state can change. That's how you can change from a solid to liquid and liquid to gas, and then go back from a gas to liquid and then liquid to solid. It's because of how fast or slow the particles are moving. So in a liquid, particles are very close and they flow past one another. In gas, they're far apart and their attraction forces are really have really a little effect on their behavior. So let's say a solid like ice. If we heat it up, the particles that are really slow, they're beside right next to each other. If we heat it up, it gets much faster, faster, faster until they're really fast that it can still be together. They have some attraction, but they're unable to like go too far apart. That's how it becomes liquid. While if we say gas from that liquid, like water, if we heat that even more, it gets so fast that it won't be any more attractions so weak that they can't be close enough. They go sliding past each other. So that's how it becomes a gas. It's so much energy. But if we go to the opposite, maybe like cooling down a gas, the particles will slow down. They will probably slow down just enough where they can get kind of close enough, but not too close. That's how they become liquids. And once we slow them enough so much that they stay in almost the same place, that becomes a solid. So the liquid, like water, can become ice. And the last one, particles attract each other. So one thing is that all particles attract each other and are always moving. Particles of a substance or a solid, when these forces of attraction are strong enough to hold the particles close enough in a rigid shape. So the laws of attraction and repulsion are that like charges repel and opposites attract. So if I say a positive and positive charge, they both repel since they're same charges. If I say a negative and a negative charge, they both will repel because they're the same charges. But if I say maybe a positive and a negative particle, they both attract since they're different charges. That's how particles work. They attract each other, which you will learn in another lesson on how they attract. Here's a more of a breakdown of matter on how their categories are separated. So we all start with matter at the top. Matter can be broken down into two different categories: pure substances and mixtures. Pure substances has its own categories. Those ones are mostly like two different elements or compounds that are brought together, stuff that are cannot be broken down any further. Pure substances can be broken down into compounds and elements. The other category of matter is mixtures. There's homogeneous mixtures and heterogeneous mixtures. Homogeneous, also known as solutions, are sometimes mostly liquids, but liquids or solids, gas. They can be in any state, but they're more, you cannot really tell the difference between that, like what it's made out of. For example, water. You can't say that it's made of two different stuff. You can't really tell. And then heterogeneous mixtures, which is also just regular mechanical mixtures. Those ones you can tell there's two different stuff inside of it. For example, if I say dirt, inside dirt you can see there's some particles of maybe grass, maybe there's some stones, rocks, and then there's a piece of dirt. You can see there's different stuff that's within it easily. I'll talk more about pure substances and mixtures and how what's different, what their similarities are, and why they're put into these categories. I'll talk more of them in my next lesson. So here's a test your knowledge section. What are the three states of matter? The three states of matter are solid, liquid, and gas. How many rules are in the particle theory? If you said there are 5, you're correct. The 5 are: all matter is made up of tiny particles that have empty spaces between them. Different substances are made up of different kinds of particles. 3. Particles are in constant random motion. 4. The particles of a substance move faster as its temperature increases. And the last one, particles attract each other. Next one, what are the 2 categories of matter? The 2 categories of matter are pure substances and mixtures. What are the 2 categories of pure substances? The 2 categories are compounds and elements. What are the 2 categories of mixtures? The 2 categories are homogeneous mixtures or mechanical mixtures and heterogeneous mixtures or solutions. So just to recap what we learned in this lesson, we learned what matter is, the particle theory, and the breakdown of the different categories of matter. So next lesson, as I said, we'll talk about more about similarities and differences between pure substances and mixtures and how to identify both of them. Stay tuned and make sure to subscribe and like the video if you liked it. And click the notification bell so you don't miss any other videos. Thank you.